Hello everyone, welcome. If this is your first time here, my name is Risa and I was a professional makeup artist for more than 20 years before becoming a full-time content creator here on YouTube. And over the past decade, my most popular videos have been the ones that I dedicate towards helping apply makeup to hooded eyes. I say this in all of my hooded eye videos, but I will never stop repeating it. There is nothing wrong with having hooded eyes. Some of the most beautiful women in the world have hooded eyes. If you've clicked on this video, you probably still struggle at least a little bit with applying makeup to your hooded eyes. What I wanted to do today was not focus so much on technique or application methods, but on the things that I personally cannot live without when doing makeup on my hooded eyes. The first thing I do when applying eyeshadow is I prime my lids. In the past, my lids were so oily that I had to use a separate eyeshadow primer and not just use a concealer like a lot of makeup artists do over the lids to act as a primer and to even out any discoloration on the lids. So you have a blank canvas to then go in and start applying your shadows. But I've noticed that in the last couple of years, my eyelids have become less oily and I can use a concealer as my eyeshadow primer. Not just any concealer. I have found that a lot of the concealers that work beautifully underneath my eyes aren't great for on my lids to act as a primer, and vice versa. Now, in case you're thinking, Risa, I don't have oily lids. Do I still need an eyeshadow primer? Yes, I recommend using, again, either a specific eyeshadow primer or a concealer, because ultimately it's going to help your eyeshadow stay in place. And when you have hooded eyes, as you know, a lot of times you get migration from the lash line to the crease, whether it's eyeshadow that you've applied to the outer corners of your eyes or eyeliner. When you look straight ahead and then you look down, you notice that you've got eyeshadow in that fold where you didn't really want it to be. So using some sort of base and not just going right in with your eyeshadow is going to be worthwhile for a couple of reasons. One being what I just stated, that it's going to help to prevent migration from your lash line to your lid. As long as you set it, you do want to set any sort of cream product with a powder before going in with any type of powder eyeshadow. And then the second thing that that's going to do for you is, as I said moments ago, create an even canvas for applying your eyeshadows. So the eyeshadows will go on smoother, more true to color, and be longer lasting. The concealer I have found that works best as a primer for me is this Too Faced Born This Way concealer. I have a full size that I do use once in a while as concealer. It is in my concealer rotation. But then I also picked up a mini from, I think it was the Cosmetics Company store. And I think you can find a Cosmetics Company store at most regional outlet malls. My apologies to those of you who are not in the US because I don't believe they have locations outside of the US. If you can find it, these minis are great. And I purchased it in the shade Snow, which is pretty light, too light for me to use as under eye concealer, but I find this works beautifully on my lids, and a little bit goes a long way. I just put one dot in the center of each lid and then blend it out with a brush, a soft brush. You never want to use brushes that are harsh or scratchy, especially around the delicate eye area. Okay, now let's talk about brushes. I've said this before in other hooded eye videos of mine that smaller brushes are better for hooded eyes, and even more so for mature hooded eyes with loose skin. Because when you're going in with those big brushes and you're trying to blend, you're just moving that skin around, you're not getting under any folds, you're not getting an even blend, or at least it's more difficult to get an even blend with a big fluffy brush. Now, I'm not saying that you will never use a bigger, more fluffy brush, because you still do. I still do. I use those types of brushes as the last step in my makeup routine, in my eyeshadow routine, when I just want to blend everything together to make sure that there's no demarcation lines, everything looks really professionally blended. So you still need to have at least one larger eyeshadow brush in your collection. But aside from that one larger blender brush, these are the brushes that I would recommend you have. It's going to make your eyeshadow application be so much smoother, your blending so much easier, and your outcome is going to look so much more professional. First up, a flat brush. Now, I'm going to show you the ones that I currently use the most, but I don't want you to think that you have to buy these brushes specifically. Now, of course, you can purchase these if you'd like, but I want you to pay attention to the shape more so than the brand of the brush. And as you can see, I've got 3 different sizes, a small, a medium, and a large. So your selection should be based upon how big or small your eyes are, or what you're using the flat brush for. For me, I like to have a flat brush to lay down my eyeshadow in the inner corner and on this part of my lid that is not as hooded. My eyes are hooded overall, but like most people, it's the outer corners that really have that sagging. So a flat brush is great for applying color into here, whether it's a matte or a shimmer. I also use this to apply a little bit of lightness underneath my brows. Brows are very, very important all around, but especially when you have hooded eyes, because you want to have your brows arched in such a way that, number one, they are flattering to your face, but also that they open up your face and they don't drag anything downwards. If your brows are done right, if they are the right shape for your face and give you some lift, they can give you almost the same effect as a Botox brow lift. And speaking of Botox, one of the reasons I never get Botox in my forehead, I haven't gotten Botox in about 6 years or so before COVID. But even then, I never got any in my forehead because what Botox does, and I think you probably all know this already, but in case you don't, it freezes the muscles, and in doing so, it can cause the muscles to relax so much that it brings the whole brow down, making the eyes more hooded. So what a Botox brow lift does, which is what I have done in the past, is it gives you more of that lifted look right here. They usually put a dot here, here, a dot here, here, and I think it was a dot here and here, because it would depress this muscle and then therefore it would lift up the brow. But it has to be done right. Nobody wants to end up looking like Mr. Spock. But back to the brushes. This is great for just adding a little bit of highlight to the brow bone, whether it's a shimmer highlight or a matte highlight. That is a good way to lift the appearance of the brows. You just want to make sure that you don't come down too low, because lightness brings things forward and darker shadows make things appear to recede. So if you put a lot of light color onto your hooded lids, they are going to look even more hooded. And for a lot of people, that can translate into puffy and tired. As I said earlier, hooded eyes are not a bad thing, but puffy and tired eyes, I don't think anybody wants that look. So a flat brush and a smaller flat brush like this one from Samey Beauty is great for applying darker shadows to the outer corners. So I like to have a small brush like this and a small blender brush like this. I have got so many small blender brushes, it's ridiculous. But this size and shape is a must-have. So what I do is I take that small flat brush and I go into some matte browns, or you can do plums, you can do whatever shades you like, whatever you think is the most flattering. And you're going to press that on the outer corner of your eye. And then you take one of your fluffy brushes and go in and blend it out. In case you're wondering, why can't you just go in with this brush? Why do you have to use the flat brush first? That is because you are more likely to get a patchy effect if you do that on a hooded lid with loose skin. So doing a pressing motion and raising your brows and looking down into a mirror is going to be the best way to get that perfect blend, because you're laying the color, you're not missing anything, you're getting into all of the folds. And then you're going to take your fluffy brush, but again, not big, not a big one, and blend that out. And that is how you are going to get a true blend. And you're also not going to get that patchiness. You'll just get a nice, soft blend, which is what we're ultimately going for. We're not trying to perform eyelid surgery with our eyeshadow. We're just trying to make our natural eyes look as beautiful as possible. For eyeliner, I cannot live without a BK Beauty 208 angled liner brush. A lot of times people with hooded, mature eyes forego eyeliner altogether. It's just too much trouble. Perhaps your hand isn't as steady as it once was. Perhaps your eyesight isn't as good as it once was, which is why I use a 10 times magnifying mirror in order to do my eye makeup. Otherwise, I would not be able to do it. And this little angled brush makes applying eyeliner right at the base of your lashes so incredibly easy. Because it's angled, I'm able to get right in there into that inner corner of my eye. And then I'm also able to do just a slight wing with this brush. And a very, very thin line is what you want because you don't want to be taking up any of that valuable lid space with a lot of liner. And if you are going to do liner, it should gradiate. It should go from very, very thin, almost non-existent in the inner corner, and then thicken as you go out. Especially if your eyes turn down on the outer corners like mine do. Now, sometimes you do run into the problem where you've got that fold, you've got that loose skin right at the outer corner, and you're just not sure how to wing it out. This brush is going to help because you're going to take it just underneath the fold and just add a touch of darkness or liner to that outer corner. With hooded eyes, you really want to pay attention to what's going on with your lashes and your lash line. Now, I know I've been told over and over throughout the years that a lot of you do not like false lashes. You don't even like individuals. You're not going to do clusters. I get it. That's fine. Although they do really, really help if you struggle with fine, puny lashes. You want to either line your upper lash line very, very closely, or do the gradient like I just spoke about, or you want to just tight line the lash line so that it looks like your lashes are fuller. And then you want to use a really, really good mascara that's not going to smudge onto the lid, that's not going to run and cause raccoon eyes. And you may have watched some other videos dedicated to hooded eyes where the beauty content creator is telling you to use waterproof mascara because it will hold the curl, it won't smudge. My personal opinion, after being in the industry in some capacity for close to 30 years now, I recommend a tubing mascara. Waterproof mascaras tend to not be great for every day because they are definitely harder to remove and they can be very drying to your lashes themselves, causing your lashes to break, causing your lashes to fall out easier. You want to keep your lashes, just like the hair on your head, very soft and conditioned. You don't want to be using something every day that's stripping them of any type of moisture. And waterproof mascaras have a tendency to do that. So it's not something that I recommend you use every single day. But a tubing mascara, great. You're going to get that smudge resistance, that water resistance, and in some cases, the mascara is completely waterproof. You're going to get length, you're going to get volume, and you're going to get an easy removal. My personal favorite is the Thrive Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara. It gives length, it gives volume, it doesn't smudge, it doesn't end up on my lids, and once again, removal is super easy. I just use my fingers and some really warm water, hold my hands over my eyes, and then gently remove the tubes. So you will see little black pieces in your sink, but no, they are not your eyelashes falling out. It is the tubes coming off of each individual lash. Like a lot of people, I do like to experiment with different eyeshadow techniques. One day I might do a lifted cat eye. Another day I might go for a more rounded look. Another day I might choose to do a spotlight eye or a halo eye where you have darker eyeshadow on the outer corner and the inner corner, and then just a little bit of lightness, usually with some sort of shimmer right in the center of the mobile lid. And I think that's a beautiful look for hooded eyes. But it does need some balance. So when I feel like my eyes need balance, I do apply a little eyeshadow, never eyeliner. And by that I mean I never use an eye pencil, a traditional eye pencil, along my lower lash lines. Well, I probably shouldn't say I never do that, because once in a while I do. But if I do that, I take a small pencil brush and really smudge it out. The last thing you want, especially if you have mature eyes, is a harsh line of eyeliner along the bottom. And unfortunately, I do see a lot of women still doing that. That's just their comfort look. It's what they've been doing since 1986, and that is just what they feel looks the best on them. But I always encourage people to wear what they love, whether it's makeup or clothing, hairstyle, wear what you love. But as a professional who you, if you're clicking on this video, are coming to for some advice, I would recommend ditching the eye pencil and just using nice pigmented shadow with a pencil brush, a soft pencil brush, to just smudge lightly along the lower lash line. And they even get as tiny as this one. This is from Refer. It is their number 23 brush. And this is so, so good for really, really getting under there. If you have small eyes, this is a great brush. It's also great for if you have more lid space and you want to add a little bit thicker eyeliner to the upper lid. This is a great brush to smudge out eyeliner, top or bottom. Pencil brushes are also great for adding a little bit of shimmer in the tear duct if you like that look. I happen to love that look and do it almost every single day. My next essential for hooded eyes is tape. You can use Scotch tape, or you can use tape like this that I will link for you. I buy it on Amazon, 6 rolls for just a couple of bucks if I remember correctly. This is eyelash tape for eyelash extensions. Personally, I've never gotten eyelash extensions, but from what I understand, they do have to tape your lids closed in order to do the lashes so that you don't open your eyes during the procedure. And that's what this is. That's its main purpose. But I use it as a guide for my eyeshadow. You always want to make sure that you're getting a little bit of the tackiness off on the back of your hand first before you apply it to your eyes, because you don't want to be tugging at that really delicate skin with really sticky tape. So take the tape, rip it off, apply it to the back of your hand, and then peel it off. Then apply it on an angle. It might take some trial and error to get it even, but ideally what you want to do is follow the lower lash line. So I'm laying it right under here, and I go a little bit down from the fold because I don't want it covering the fold of my hooded eye. So I go right underneath, pat it on, and I normally apply the tape after I've applied that first layer of primer and set with powder. Then I go in and apply the tape and start on my eyeshadow. And then, as I mentioned, you gently pull it off and you are going to get a very crisp line. I happen to like that look. If you don't like that look, then you can soften it with one of your pencil brushes. Would actually be perfect for that. And you don't necessarily have to use the tape to help with winged liner. It just helps me with my eyeshadow so that I can get that lifted look. A mistake a lot of women make when applying their eyeshadow is that it's come down too far. Same thing with their eyelashes. I see a lot of women of all ages, when they do apply false lashes, the lashes are hanging so low, it's bringing their eyes down. You don't want anything going down because things are already going down. So we don't want our lashes turned down. We don't want our eyeliner turned down. We don't want our eyeshadow turned down. We don't want our brow turned down. We want everything lifted. So the tape is going to take all of the guesswork out of that and just help you so, so much. And finally, when talking about mature hooded lids, I would be remiss if I didn't say that you can still wear shimmer, but you have to use the right kind of shimmer and you have to place it strategically. One of my favorite affordable must-have palettes is from Morphe. This is the Nude Ambition palette. This is a fantastic palette for anyone really, but especially mature eyes, because the mattes are very blendable and buttery and pigmented, and the shimmers are a soft shimmer that sort of reflect light and almost smooth texture on the lid versus being the kind of shimmer that's very chunky and glittery and just emphasizes texture, which is not what we want. And simply put, this palette has everything I need in it. I've got that under the brow and lid brightening shade. I've got several shades that I can use in my crease, and then obviously several shades I can use as liner. And then this shimmer is one of my favorites for going in the tear ducts. And then once in a while, I do like to take my finger and press a little bit of shimmer onto the mobile lid. I didn't do it today, but maybe I will since we're here and we're talking about it. I think I'm going to use Unrated. And actually, I'm going to take that flat brush I spoke about earlier, go into Unrated, tap off my excess, and then just pat that shimmer right on the lid. So, so pretty. Now, if your lid has more loose skin than mine, you may have to take your finger and lift up the lid just a little bit. I know some people are vehemently against any sort of tugging on the eye, but I find that the people who say that are always people who don't need to do any tugging because their eyes are already so taut. And I have yet to come across any makeup artist that when they're doing someone's eyes doesn't do a little bit of this or a little bit of this gently and sparingly, because sometimes it just needs to be done. So this palette, I highly, highly recommend. If you need something cooler toned and want to stay completely matte, I would recommend this palette from Makeup by Mario. So there they are, a makeup artist's must-haves for hooded eyes. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I do have an entire hooded eye playlist that I recommend you check out. You'll probably hear some of the same things in some of those videos, but every so often I do like to update older videos, even if it's just a new style of presentation. And older videos do tend to get buried in the YouTube algorithm, so I like to put out fresh content that hopefully gets to more people that are looking to improve their makeup skills and might be struggling with applying makeup to their hooded eyes. All of the products I spoke about today will be listed and linked down below in the description box of this video. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to ask them in the comments. I do try to respond to as many as I can. If you did enjoy the video, I really appreciate you giving it a thumbs up. If you are not already subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will consider doing so. I do upload new content at least twice per week. You can also find more from me over on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. My username is the same on every platform. It's Risa Does Makeup. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you in my next video.